Hi, I'm Dr. Amy French. I am the Humanities Learning Center coordinator at Delta College. I'm also a history professor. And today I'm very excited because I'm with a fellow colleague, another Delta College history professor, Professor Matthew Thick. And Matt is coming to us today to talk about a book that I use in all my Michigan history classes. I know a lot of our colleagues use it. And it is his primary source reader, The Great Water. And so before I ask him some questions, tell you a little bit. He's a pretty cool guy. I met him many years ago. We were just kind of riffing about when did we first meet, and we were talking about how we met at a coffee shop. He got his master's degree from Wayne State University down in Detroit, Michigan, and he got his undergraduate degree from the University of Michigan in Flint. And so thanks, Matt. Thanks for coming today and being with us virtually here.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, it's a pleasure. I
Oh,
always enjoy it when we can get together.
I know, I know. You can see he's got a great smile, and I just really, I've enjoyed having him as a colleague, and I love, just being able to talk to him today. So, okay, first off, let's get started. Let's find out about, the whole process, because I think a lot of our viewers would probably like to know, what's it like to do this? What's it like to put a reader together? What's it like to publish a book? So what inspired you, first and foremost? What inspired you to create this new document reader for Michigan history?
I was hired at Delta in 2014. Well, in 2013, really, but my first class was in 2014. And this was a last minute appointment. So the books were already chosen for me. And one was a narrative history of Michigan that's was actually written by my advisor at U of M Flint. And so that's kind of neat. And the other was a primary source reader that was pretty good, but as I was going through the documents, I noticed that I was already familiar with many of them, and the edits, I just thought that some of the content that was edited out should have been in, and so I felt that some of those edits were a little bit weak, and so I thought, well, someone needs to come up with a stronger primary source reader for Michigan history. And then like maybe a month later, it dawned on me, duh, why don't I do it? Right?
And I'm so glad you did.
Yeah, I am too. And it was like a learn as you go process because I've never done anything like that before. And so what I did was collect different primary readers and just see how they were arranged and see what they included, all the while keeping like a outline in my head based on topic. So if I think, okay, logging industry, what sort of documents that I already knew about could fit into that category. And then I also thought about place, like where in Michigan could I travel to try to find more primary documents that might not be readily available through the usual channels, like visiting these big archives like in Lansing and Ann Arbor and Detroit. Yeah, and so it was just traveling to different archives throughout the state and browsing through those archives. And when I'd find a piece that I thought might be valuable, and that's all that was its requirement, it just might have some value, I would transcribe it and note down where it came from. And so eventually had a book compiled together, and I had no idea where to shop it to be published. And it just so happened that I was at a conference in the Upper Peninsula, and I was checking out some books at a table, and the table was Michigan State University Press. And the person who was running the table was, she and I were just talking, and I said, I have this project going. It's still in the early stages, but I'm making a collection of primary documents for a reader about Michigan history. And she said, oh, well, when it's done, send me the manuscript. And I said, oh, well, are you an editor? And her name is Julie Lore. And she goes, well, I'm the chief acquisitions editor. I was like, well, this is a fortunate occurrence. Yeah. And so, And that's how I started a relationship with them.
That's so cool. So, one of the things, like some of our viewers might not know what a primary source reader is. It occurred to me as we started talking,
Right.
I thought, we're doing something that the language, what Matthew's book is historians, a lot of times we use readers in order for our students or just, fans of history to be able to actually study the evidence themselves. So historians, we use a bunch of evidence. We use what we call primary sources. They might be letters, they might be a chapter of a book. It could even be a quilt if a message might have been designed into it. We use a bunch of different kind of artifacts in order to come up with our own ideas. And so a primary source reader is something that we really enjoy having for our students because the textbook gives them the story, the narrative, but the primary source reader lets them come to their own conclusions and lets them, see into the mind and actually time travel into the past. So, Matt's talking about he literally traveled around the state in order to find primary sources. And so you found a lot of primary sources. What was your approach then to the editing process? What did you cut? What did you retain? You obviously had a bunch of stuff. So
I did, yeah.
Narrow it down?
Well, it was because there was a lot of material to go through. So it all depended on what I already had. And it also, I kept my class in mind because I constructed the book as closely as I could to my class as possible. So it was a little bit self-serving. And so that was a guide. But so I would find a document and the information that I wanted it to convey would have to also support or maybe counter a point in our narrative history or in my lecture. And so it could be used as maybe evidence or, evidence to support an idea. Or what I really value is allowing the students to look at these documents. When I edited these documents, I wanted to just make sure that the purpose of that document was very clear. I didn't want to edit it to take anything away, take any of that meaning away. So that was first and foremost, but also thinking about how I can use these as teaching tools in the classroom. And so I would try to pair them up to give different viewpoints, maybe two different accounts of the same event, or two or three different accounts, and then have variations on that. So in my class, I like to have my students read those accounts and try to evaluate on their own, test the reliability of those documents. Because when we're talking about primary documents, we're talking about the actual historical witnesses, like the people, like Amy said, the people who are writing letters, they're writing in their journals, maybe an autobiography or a diary. And because humans, their memories aren't as sharp as they can be, humans make pretty terrible witnesses often. We have to work through that. We have to test the reliability of these documents. And so the editing process was with that in mind as well. Will I have enough information that will make this document that the students are reading valuable?
Cool, very cool. You kind of already alluded to how one of the questions I was going to ask you is how'd you choose a publisher? We gave that away. But what was it like, working with a team of editors? How is that process?
That was kind of neat because, as hard as I try to have no spelling or grammar errors anywhere or typos or anything, it seemed like they were everywhere when I submitted the manuscript. But that was nice. It was really good to have a team who was on my side because they wanted to have the best thing for their readers and I wanted to have the best thing for our readers. And so having that relationship was a great benefit.
And then the question that I think we all want to know this about an author, what was it like the first time you held your own book in your hand? The first time you're just like, okay, this is my first printed copy.
That was a great day. That was because this is my first book, and I use it in my classes. So this wasn't this wasn't at the ready, but this is it. This is the book here,
Yeah.
and just to it's my first one, so having it in my hands, just the feeling of accomplishment was overwhelming. That was really nice.
Sorry.
And it was like because this is such a big project, it took years to collect those items and put this together, and then another long while with the editing process back and forth with the publisher. So yeah, just holding it and just having it there was such a great joy.
Well, that is so awesome. And I'm going to try to add some linking material to the book so that our viewers can see for themselves the awesome thing. I love it. I use it myself. I've read it. I think I even provided a quote for it for the cover.
Oh,
so,
you did? Yeah.
Yeah, I endorse it. So
yeah, thank you.
Anyway, so well, thank you for joining us today. This is Professor Matt Fick of the Delta College History Department. I'm Dr. Amy French of the Delta College History Department, and we're talking about his book, The Great Water, and it's a primary source reader in Michigan history. And I thank you for giving your time to us today. I really appreciate it, Matt. And
oh, you're very welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing your talents with us. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you.